The fact is that the world is waiting for really good blood tests that can diagnose early stages of cancer and also capture later stages of cancer.
The Scientific Advisory Board and the other key opinion leaders who happen to be involved with Volition give me great confidence that what is being done is really fit for its purpose.
Hello there, I'm outside Volition's facility close to the city of Namur in Belgium. The team here has been growing steadily in recent months, but I'm interested in a meeting of the Scientific Advisory Board that's taking place inside the building. I'm keen to know more about the role of the SAB and, more importantly, how they view Volition's recent progress.
When you have a young team, a small team working for a company, you can't possibly embrace the maturity and knowledge within that team that is needed to guide the science forward. So it is typical when you're in the discovery and research and development phases to have additional people who come in to listen to the science and give guidance as to whether that scientific program is appropriate for the stage of the company.
It is a very typical way of a new company, because at the beginning you have an idea and then you do a very first essays looking whether there's a difference, whether they can be used for diagnostic purposes or not. And if you see that it is worthwhile pursuing this way, then you start improving your essays, standardizing your essays, and do follow-up studies. And if you see that it still holds true, then you really go for a product. And I think this is at the moment the stage of the company. But there are a lot of things to do, regulatory things to do, validation steps to take. But it's so important because afterwards, this assay should work in every laboratory, and therefore the preconditions have to be set now.
There's no quick path to develop the assays in a very robust manner, but the really important part, I think, is that the underlying biological molecular changes that take place in cancer are very well documented, and I think what is being done here is they're able to capture these changes, they're being able to measure these changes. The additional challenge is then taking this research level understanding to a product that is really robust in the context of different clinical diagnostic laboratories. And I think we're having to discover new ground here, and they're making a great effort to do that.
One of the main reasons for having a scientific advisory board panel is obviously to kind of look at the data, come up with suggestions how to do things, how to improve things, and Volition is very good at taking that advice. So I'm actually very impressed with how far they've come over the last few years. Especially now, there's a very strong emphasis on quantitative analysis, standardization, and that's exactly what they need to be doing at this stage.
Yeah, one thing the company has done is amass large banks of samples, large enough numbers so you have a good statistical basis for your conclusions. And what we've been doing is getting these samples in and now getting all the assays very well validated so that when we apply the assays to these samples, we'll get believable data which will either tell us whether we have good tests or bad tests. And we're at the stage of being very close to getting a sort of large set of good data.
One of the biggest challenges is in regards to screening. And that's where Volition is of such great interest to me, because the approaches that they are developing actually are complementary to what many other companies are developing. They are completely orthogonal to the approaches based on sequencing, and I find this tremendously exciting and very promising in terms of bringing to the clinical world something that would be useful to identify the patients that have cancer at an early stage when we can cure those cancers.
So interesting to hear the scientific points of view from members of the SAB here at Volition. And finally, I wanted to know their personal view about being involved in this exciting journey.
One of the things about small companies is they tend to be populated by young, very optimistic and very hard-working people, and Volition has a wonderful team. But we want to see that team rewarded for its efforts.
We know that not everybody can afford the most expensive healthcare, but I think if you can, with a blood test, make a very good call as to whether a particular disease may be developing or how therapy may be progressing. These are relatively non-intrusive, low-cost assays that will hopefully be used very widely and that many people, many patients can hopefully benefit from.